Last week, I did what I expect to be my last Facebook Live Q&A. I was asked, are you going to stop the Friday boot camp Q&A? No, I am not. And I wanted to let you know what the reason was that I stopped it. Primarily, the Facebook Live is free, as is the Friday one, but you have to have purchased the boot camp to get into the Friday one, which most of the time means you're actually doing something. Not always, but a lot of times. And the Facebook Live on Wednesday, both of those I do or did once a month, are almost always just mindset questions. What if they throw me out? What if this happens? What if that happens? First of all, 95% of the stuff you think is going to happen is never going to happen. But more importantly, the reason they're focused on that is also the reason that they're not making any progress, is that it's a mindset issue. Can I really do this? I question that. Low self-image, low self-esteem. By contrast, on Friday, those people are actually doing something. But I had what I thought was, and I laughed like hell because I thought it was just so funny. Not that it's a bad question, because it's a pretty good question, but because of the way it was asked. So on the Friday boot camp Q&A, someone referenced the podcast I did pretty recently. It was Jim. That's not his real name, but that's what I called him. And the question for the person on the Q&A was, are all acquisition journeys such a stressful struggle? And I said, pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Is that if you're looking for an easy get-rich-quick program, this isn't it. If you're looking for a program that works and has worked for many, many people, yeah, this is it. But this is an particularly emotionally, very hard process. And so when you begin this process, you're going to find that, yeah, I have to work on my self-esteem, my self-image, what I'm afraid of. Cold calling is usually on that list. And I last week had a mentee who, I think I mentioned this previously, was terrified of making cold calls. He ended up going from, when I asked him, just make 5, going from 5 to 145. And last week he did 1,002 cold calls. Quite a difference. But yes, most of the time this is a hard process. And let me give you an example of that. I have a mentee who's done 6 deals, has 15 locations. In the beginning, essentially pre-COVID, he had a letter campaign that was yielding 30%. That's pretty unheard of. He then ended up getting 14, I think it was, LOIs. COVID hit hard, ended up losing all of those LOIs, and his letters that were pulling 30% pulled 0 for a year. Most people would have quit. He didn't quit. He kept pushing forward, changing some things and trying some different tactics. But ultimately, the pieces came together, and now they're calling him. He's stopped all his outreach because he said my funnel is so full and continues to have new prospects in it. But that never would have happened. And many people will look at that and say, oh, well, it's easy for him now. Yeah, maybe it is a little easier for him now. But that would not have happened had he not persevered through the time when it was super hard. And just think about doing all the work to get 14 LOIs and having them all dissolve in front of you, and the letters aren't working. Again, most people would have quit. So, yes, unfortunately or fortunately, are all acquisition journeys such a stressful struggle? Yeah, pretty much they are. But think about it this way. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. The fact that it's not easy culls out an awful lot of people, so the competition isn't as tough as it would be if it were easy. And again, that's a mindset issue. So you can look at that situation and say, wow, it's so hard. Or you can say, guess what? I'm going to persevere through this. I want it to be hard because I want to cut out the competition. that won't go the extra mile to get this done. So a couple things. Go over to brucewhipple.com. If you have not, go under free class and grab the templates and scripts. It's entitled Conversation Starters. I think that would help you. And again, if you are listening to this and you haven't gone through the steps or know what the steps are, certainly take a look under boot camps and classes, and I would recommend that you start with the all-new Deep Dive Boot Camp. So, thank you, and yes, this is hard, but in the end, the example I gave, if you asked him if this is worth it, he'd say, fucking A right, it was worth it.